What if the very bite a soldier took could decide the outcome of a battle, the fate of a convoy, or the morale of a whole front? From the frozen steppes of Russia to the sweltering jungles of the Pacific, the United States Army's field rations in World War II were engineered as weapons of endurance, each of the 5 principal types reflecting a different tactical need, logistical constraint, and nutritional philosophy. The story begins in 1939, when the War Department's Food Research Laboratory in Washington, D.C., convened a panel of chemists, dietitians, and military strategists to answer a simple yet urgent question. How could an army of millions be fed when supply lines were miles of rail, river, and dust-blown road? Their answer was a hierarchy of rations that would evolve into the modern MRE, but in the crucible of global war, each category, A, B, C, K, and D, earned its own legend. The first tier, the A ration, was the traditional field kitchen supply, a bulk package of fresh or refrigerated foods that required cooking facilities. In the early months of 1942, a single A ration pallet contained up to 640 pounds of meat, vegetables, milk, and bread, enough to feed a battalion for 3 days. The Army's mobile canteens, known as field messes, used portable stoves burning gasoline or charcoal, and the logistics officers calculated that each soldier needed roughly 300 calories per day to sustain combat performance. By 1944, the average daily caloric provision for a soldier in the European theater rose to 500 calories, reflecting the increased intensity of mechanized warfare and the need for extra energy during long marches across the Normandy hedgerows. While A rations supplied the bulk of sustenance in established bases, the Army quickly realized that the front lines often moved faster than supply trucks could follow. In response, the B ration was developed as a semi-prepared, dehydrated component that could be reconstituted with water and minimal cooking. First issued in 1942, a B ration box contained powdered milk, dehydrated soups, and canned meats that together provided 400 calories per day. Rations design emphasized compactness. Each box measured just 12 inches by 9 inches by 8 inches and weighed under 30 pounds, allowing a single truck to carry 1,000 boxes into an advanced base. Field reports from the Italian campaign noted that soldiers could prepare a full B ration meal in under 15 minutes using a portable field kitchen stove, a speed that proved vital during the rapid push up the Italian peninsula. The third category, the C ration, became the iconic combat ration, a self-contained, ready-to-eat package intended for soldiers in the heat of battle with no cooking facilities. First fielded in June 1942, the C rations Type C version weighed 5 pounds and included a meat item, usually pork loaf or chicken stew, a biscuit, a candy bar, a fruit bar, and a powdered beverage. Each component was vacuum sealed in metal cans, a technology borrowed from the civilian canned food industry but adapted for durability against the shock of artillery. Nutritionists calculated that the C ration delivered 4,000 calories per day, a surplus designed to compensate for the extra exertion of combat and the loss of other meals. By the end of the war, over 200 million C rations had been produced, and the ration's distinctive cigarette casing, tin, became a cultural symbol, appearing in wartime postcards and later in Hollywood films depicting the Pacific Front. Parallel to the C ration, the Army introduced the K Ration in 1942 as a lightweight, 3-course emergency ration for special operations and airborne units. Designed by the Quartermaster Corps in collaboration with the U.S. Army's Research and Development Division, the K Ration consisted of a breakfast biscuit, a lunch bar, and a dinner packet, each individually wrapped and weighing a mere 5 pounds for a full day's supply. The ration's ingredients, cooked rice, powdered eggs, and a small amount of chocolate, were chosen for their long shelf life and resistance to spoilage at high temperatures. Field tests in the North African desert revealed that a single K ration could sustain a soldier for up to 72 hours without water, a capability that proved decisive during the rapid desert advances of Operation Torch and the subsequent push into Tunisia. The fifth and most austere ration, the D Ration, was conceived as a survival bar for extreme conditions, essentially a high-calorie emergency biscuit meant to be eaten only when all other food sources were exhausted. Introduced in 1943, the D Ration bar weighed 4 ounces and delivered 600 calories, composed of a dense mixture of chocolate, cocoa butter, and powdered milk. Its purpose was not to provide a balanced diet, but to supply a soldier with enough energy to survive for up to 10 days without any other food, a scenario envisioned for downed pilots or stranded soldiers behind enemy lines. The bar's bitterness and hardness earned it the nickname the hunk of steel, and after the war, its formula was adapted into the post-war survival ration used by the CIA during covert operations in the 1950s. Behind these 5 rations lay a massive industrial effort that reshaped American food manufacturing. In 1941, before Pearl Harbor, the War Production Board authorized the construction of 30 new canning plants, and by 1944, the United States operated over 250 facilities dedicated to producing field rations. Companies like C. Warner, Borden, and Campbell Soup pivoted from civilian markets to military contracts, churning out millions of cans daily. The United States' ability to produce 10,000 tons of canned meat per month by late 1943 was a logistical marvel, made possible by innovations such as the hydrostatic pressure canning process, which reduced sterilization times by 30% and allowed for the safe storage of rations for up to 3 years at temperatures exceeding 80 degrees F. Logistics officers also faced the daunting challenge of transporting rations across oceans and continents. The Pacific Theater, with its scattered island bases, required the use of cargo aircraft such as the C-47 Skytrain and the larger C-54 Skymaster to deliver rations directly to forward positions. A single C-54 could carry 30,000 pounds of supplies, meaning that a single flight could deliver the equivalent of 10 days' worth of C rations for a division of 15,000 troops. In the European theater, the Red Ball Express, a convoy of over 5,000 trucks, moved rations, fuel, and ammunition from the Normandy beaches to the front lines, averaging 300 miles per day. The efficiency of these supply chains was measured in ton-miles per day, a metric that peaked at 2.3 million during the push toward the Rhine in early 1945. Nutritional science, still in its infancy, played a surprisingly pivotal role in ration development. Lieutenant Colonel Francis T. McGowan, a dietitian with the Army Medical Corps, conducted field studies on soldiers in the Aleutian Islands, where the cold climate demanded higher fat intake. His recommendations led to the inclusion of increased butterfat in the C ration's meat component, boosting caloric density by 15%. Simultaneously, concerns about scurvy and vitamin C deficiency prompted the addition of citrus fruit bars and a powdered vitamin supplement to the B ration, a measure that reduced reported cases of deficiency among troops stationed in the Pacific by 70% by 1944. The rations also reflected cultural and psychological considerations, recognizing that morale could falter if soldiers felt their diets were monotonous. The Quartermaster Corps introduced special menu items such as beef stew with potatoes and chicken a la king, each sealed in its own tin but rotated on a monthly schedule. The inclusion of comfort foods, like the famous peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which appeared in the C ration's later Type C1 version, was a deliberate attempt to provide a taste of home. Surveys conducted by the Office of War Information in 1943 showed that soldiers who received varied menus reported a 12% increase in overall satisfaction and a corresponding 8% improvement in physical performance scores during endurance tests. The impact of these rations extended beyond the battlefield into civilian life after the war. the surplus of canned goods, and the experience of mass-produced, shelf-stable meals inspired the post-war boom in convenience foods, leading to the creation of the modern, ready-to-eat market. Companies that had supplied the military repurposed their production lines to produce products like TV dinners, a direct descendant of the field-cooked B ration. Moreover, the lessons learned in ration packaging, particularly the use of laminated metal cans and vacuum sealing, became standard practice in the burgeoning frozen food industry, reshaping American eating habits for decades. Despite their successes, the 5 rations were not without criticism. Frontline reports from the Ardennes in December 1944 described C rations as unpalatable and overly salty, a complaint that led to the rapid development of the improved C ration in 1945, which reduced sodium content by 30% and added a new cocoa-flavored beverage. Similarly, the K ration's lightweight design meant it lacked sufficient protein, and after the Battle of the Bulge, nutritionists found that soldiers relying solely on K rations suffered a measurable decline in muscle mass, prompting the Army to reissue supplemental B ration packs to airborne units. These adjustments illustrate the iterative nature of wartime logistics, where feedback from the front lines directly shaped production decisions in the factories back home. The strategic deployment of rations also influenced the outcomes of key campaigns. During the island-hopping campaign in the Central Pacific, the ability to airdrop C rations directly onto beaches allowed U.S. Marines to maintain combat effectiveness during the initial assault on Guam in July 1944, when supply ships could not yet dock. In the European theater, rapid provision of B ration kits to the advancing Allied forces after the breakout from Normandy enabled the fuel and food first doctrine, ensuring that soldiers could sustain high operational tempos without waiting for permanent supply depots. Historians now credit these logistical innovations with shortening the war in Europe by several months, a testament to the power of a well-fed army. The production numbers underscore the scale of the effort. By the war's end, the United States had manufactured roughly 200 million C rations, 150 million B rations, 100 million K rations, and 30 million D ration bars, alongside an equivalent volume of a ration bulk shipments. Each ration required a complex supply chain of raw materials, cattle, wheat, potatoes, sugar, and dairy, sourced from farms across the Midwest and West Coast, then processed, canned, and shipped to staging areas in New York, San Francisco, and Houston. The coordination of these processes was overseen by the Army Service Forces, whose logistics staff grew from a modest 10,000 in 1940 to over 300,000 by 1945, reflecting the unprecedented mobilization of the home front. The legacy of these 5 rations endures in the modern MRE, or meal ready to eat, which retains the core principles of portability, shelf stability, and caloric density while incorporating contemporary nutrition science. Today's MREs contain 250 to 300 calories per meal, a balanced mix of protein, carbohydrates, and fats, and are designed to meet the needs of a soldier in any environment, from desert to Arctic. The evolution from the simple canned meat of a 1942 C ration to the sophisticated, vacuum-sealed, heated-in-a-bag meals of the 21st century traces a line of continuous innovation that began in the crucible of World War II. In the final analysis, the 5 main rations of World War II were more than mere sustenance. They were a meticulously engineered system that blended chemistry, nutrition, logistics, and psychology to keep an army moving across continents and oceans. Their development forced the United States to confront the challenges of feeding millions in unprecedented circumstances, leading to breakthroughs that reshaped both military doctrine and civilian food culture. The story of those rations reminds us that in war, the smallest tin can hold the weight of an empire's destiny, and that the taste of victory often begins on the tongue.